Welcome back to the recap of stories and characters. Today we start getting into each story of everyone's character's lore, which might be one of the longest videos besides the main timeline story. I'll most likely go in order of each character that shows up. Little thing I want to mention before I start. A few of these people aren't in the server anymore, but seemingly since they were important before leaving, I think it's still better to have an explanation than ignoring it since they show up in the episodes. Everyone ties into a cycle whether they're around for a long time or a short amount. If I say anything wrong with someone's character though, put it in the comment section and correct me. I apologize. I went off my memory and went back into the footage of every video I've collected for this. Little side note by the way, I'm sick while recording this. If I sound dead or not in the best sound, I'm trying my best and I had to rush recording these videos. So sorry everyone, bear with me here. Alright, it's time to take a deep dive into our characters. Leo is the character I play in the server. His lore is a bit complicated. I figured it out though. He appears to be a human, but he's not. Leo is a warp creature, a beast from the warp forest that believes he had a family in reality. He was created by the Black Eyes, their own little personal experiment. Leo is very shy and likes being close to his best friend Moon. He enjoys fishing, picking flowers, watching the night sky, and just being peaceful. Somehow he can never catch a break as the Black Eyes target. Some people believe he's a puppet. He doesn't like being manipulated, which sucks because he is pretty innocent for that to happen. And having his memories mixed up, dying and coming back so much has drained him. If the Black Eyes are able to get to Leo to feel a big emotion and affect him, he'll finally turn into the beast and just become a weapon, as in killing and hunting. He hopes one day when this torment will end, he'll find who he is and live with his friends in peace. Jay is what they call an Endarian deer from the dimension, the End. They're scientists who have some interesting ideas. They built a lab to help Leo when the fungus first activated and was spreading, and nobody knew why. Since Leo didn't have much memory at the time, he thought being experimented on to find answers was the key. It was only part of the puzzle. Jay has been married twice, to Jackie, who was close to them, and to Ace, who is an eyeball. Jay does care for others and shows it in mysterious ways. They sometimes don't even care about this place or the people since they're losing their mind. They might go super crazy if they can't hold themselves together. Also, is kind of a camable. You need to be cool if you want to be their friend, or as they quote, mutuals. Zeph, a fox who killed their parents who couldn't accept them and was taken for experimentation. We don't see them that much, but I suspect their time was very limited, but did care about the people they were stuck with for that small period of time. Usen, a multiverse traveler. At first he was compelled, then he started thinking what if he could side with the puppets, which ended up losing his first life from Leo, out of protection, and his left eye becoming blind. He went off the rails a bit for the group and used to experiment on Entity, and maybe he would do it again. As soon as he threatened Leo being on his last life, most people had enough, not caring for his own actions, whether it was good or bad. They wanted him far away from them. Then on the last day for the first round for the players, he disappeared and someone new took his place. Moon was taken by the Black Eyes as a young child because her parents were killed in a war. She was experimented on for a long time until one day she was able to escape. She is a mutation and all she knows in life is to run when things are hard, until she ended up with everyone else, and Leo was the first to approach her. They spent some time together, getting to know each other a bit. Pretty soon it was obvious that those two became inseparable. Moon never really enjoyed the idea of experimenting on Leo. She was always there though, even to protect him.
You're stuck with me now. I'm not gonna let you get hurt or something.
Around the second world they were all put in, Moon was skeptical of who was telling the truth towards her, now not knowing if Leo is a puppet or is just themselves. Finding out that Leo was a part of Moon's past and they grew up being friends in the labs before Moon left, it also proved to Moon how loyal and caring Leo is towards Moon, saving her from Anthony. Soon Moon becomes more distant after losing her soul gem and watching Leo breaking and losing themselves after being taken and experimented on again. Then Moon has disappeared on the third world, making Leo still worried but giving her space, hoping soon enough they'll meet again. Ellie is part dragon and human, wasn't around much except the first day. Maybe they escaped or were traded in for a new experiment to take her place. She was kind and loved helping Jay and Felix with the house and the animals. Felix is a farmer who was friends with Leo at some point in his life. Once he was out of the labs, the timelines for this is still messy, and since Felix was only around for 2 days, Leo doesn't recall them. They did seem fond of Ellie though, and helped around too. Sage, an elf who ran away from home and was trying to look for her sister, got very close with Leo and Moon. After discovering losing all your normal 4 lives isn't the end, that you're able to come back with different consequences in life, Sage started having skulk grow on her, which was similar to Leo with the fungus, except this time it was consuming her. It was never a part of her to begin with, unlike Leo. She lived with Leo in the second world, and skulks started to spread and hurt her more. Gained abilities of the warden, even if sometimes she can't see and the noises get too loud for her. Jay makes her a cure, but explains there's a high risk it won't work and just kill her. Golden Piglin Puppet only shows up once you completed a task given by the Puppet Master or the Mastermind. You were given echo shards, which were soon found out puppets were made by them, and dropped them once you've defeated one. Each puppet you fight gets stronger and smarter, and to get to them you have to get through its puzzle or fight to reach to them at the end. Echo shards open up a shop where you could buy a weapon you cannot craft. Sometimes Piglin will guide you to your fate, whether it's early or late, to a person's troubles. It is also the right hand of the Puppet Master and controls the rest of the puppets. Entity comes in on the 3rd day, on the first event day that was given to the players. Entity was a bit confusing at first before finding out Lucen was his father or creator. Their cross-eyed neon eyes allowed them to look into other timelines of each character they were around, seeing different versions of them. Only if the entity other version was there though. They would confuse themselves a lot, thinking Moon would be another Moon from another timeline. They got the hang of it eventually. Once their friends fell into this hellhole, they would stick by them more and started distancing themselves from any other drama when you know you can't escape it. They built a pub for people to hang out, which worked for a while. They are guilty of killing Leo when he was helping him understand his eyes more and gain information on the puppets and Lucen, making Leo go down to 1 life, which risked people trusting them in the group. They were able to access Leo's first life that was stuck in a blue eyeball by the Golden Piglin. The power is difficult to control, making Entity rage and one punch killed Leo. Leo and Entity plan to try and capture a puppet and experiment on it, or use that power to kill it until Moon and Jay found a log made by Leo, keeping track of Entity's powers, and got the wrong idea, almost killing Entity just to avenge Leo and out of protection. Coda, the first eyeball. The first ever guard and upper class of staff in the Black Eyes. This eyeball would stay a far distance from everyone and just watch them, never intervening, only doing what they're told to do. After the warden and Lucen tried to make a deal with Leo to give him some of his lives, the eyeball starts to speak more and reveals their name, which is Coda. They start interacting with each player more, especially in the second world. Some trust them, including the puppets. Some other people started to trust the eyeballs, including the puppets. Others still have opinions, even some beef. Leo is one of the few people who doesn't trust Coda, but is able to have conversations with them, whether it's needed. Coda eventually explains why they do what they do, because they have a kid on the line in this entire game everyone is stuck in, playing the role that was chosen for them, meaning more eyeballs and conflicts start to appear around these fields. They reveal each role for the employment and the role for the staff later on. Coda is a hybrid wolf. Arwen, a scientist that works with the Black Eyes and has a fascinating obsession with chemicals and poking their nose into other players' business. In some ways, it does seem like they care about them. Otherwise, they get drunk a lot and hang out with Lucen and Maxon, still running tests in the lab they've built. Jackie, who used to live in a village but was kicked out. The eyeballs took her in and decided to train her into an assassin. When she was put into the simulator, she stayed near Jay a lot, even though she kept trying to kill anyone and was pretty chaotic. Jay was very fond of them, protected each other, and got married, until the eyeballs activated Jackie into a human android who was commanded to kill Leo, which led to Moon, Sage, and Leo killing Jackie, making Jay watch all of this and having Jackie's memories messed around with. Soon Jackie had a bunch of souls that were different sides of their personality, which was a type of demon representing it. Every time one side of Jackie died, she became more distant and demonish. Once Jackie killed Jay, it was all over and Jackie had done their job. Blue Jay, a traveler trying to find a place to settle down and have a home, kind of like Lucen, was thrown into this place, except Blue Jay is able to leave. Well, actually just the area people normally are. They're still in the world, just wandering. He's kind of quiet, but still wants to help. He even said he'll protect the kids, knowing he's the oldest out of everyone in the simulation. He doesn't like what any other players are experiencing and got killed by protecting Leo from the Puppet Master. Even if that meant losing a life, he knew this twisted test was outrageous. Rin, now named Charlie, the first ever human to enter the simulator, who seems to be a decent person. They've explained that they used to live in a house, reading a lot in a cozy space. They're easily freaked out, and since they woke up on the day of an event, they didn't know who to trust until Evija came along, who worked with the black guys as an observer of the world and us. Charlie spent more time with Evija and Coda than the players by being manipulated. Charlie trusted them and believed them. Coda and Evia's goals was to get Charlie to turn against everyone, making them see that Leo is the mastermind, not someone else. They were convincing Moon or tried to get them to pay more attention after a wedding. Never seen a trace of them since. Now they mysteriously disappeared. Maybe they'll return? Evija. She researches the world and likes to study it. Nothing ever Pacific until the black guys hired her for this job and she agreed. Her intentions never seemed interesting to have relationships with everyone, just doing their job. They're close to Charlie and the black guys employees, such as the eyeballs and the scientists. They do parties sometimes. Other than that, they'll always have some sort of notes on them and give it to the mastermind. She only shows up when Arwen is around or the mastermind comes, which is rare. They did talk to Moon a bit. Ace, an eyeball guard who goes undercover as a player and interacts with everyone else. They showed up with Evija and didn't officially get orders until the next world was made. Being a spy and stealth was pretty easy for them, and becoming fond of Jay, they both got married. Ace did hang around mostly everyone as much as possible, just to get a feel and know what to report. Some rumors spread around thinking Ace actually wanted to help the players. It was never proven to be true though. Jace, who is a cat and bullies Moon for fun. We don't see them much, but they seem to stay nearby. Tom, who was found in an underground bunker locked up with Change and Skulk around in the second world. Apparently Tom has beef with Crispy, the third eyeball to show themselves besides Ace, except nobody sees Ace as an eyeball until the wedding. Tom wandered into an ancient city and Skulk was spread to him. He remembers being experimented on with the Skulk in Warden. Once he entered the deep dark dimension, he had more memories come back, except the downside is every time he loses a life, he forgets and Skulk spreads again. Crispy the eyeball. His past was tied to with Coda, who were both in previous simulator tests that failed for most experiments. Those two were the only ones that made it, and Crispy's role is to only talk when Coda tells them to. He mostly is the quiet one unless he was ordered. If the mastermind or the puppet master tells him to kill, he will kill. That's his goal, to kill each player at least once and get into their head for manipulation. He also is able to mimic voices, making them sound real, to have that confusion and have that scare for the players. Mastermind only appears when it's really important for the company and his intentions. That's when you see every player and employee there. There are ways for this whole experiment to work and you never hear them speak. You always believe the puppet master is in control when really you were in the wrong. The puppet master was made by failed experiments in animals, never something truly human, and only listens to the mastermind. The puppet master puts on events and orders the eyeballs to do their job. Only once the puppet master failed and has one last chance, otherwise he's scrapped away. He also helps makes the puppets below him for the games, and the golden piglin is his favorite. Soul Stealer or Anthony. He was never supposed to be in the simulator. It was a glitch and had these gems on his left glove, which were all souls of players, even Lucen. He tricked Moon and took hers. Leo made a deal with Coda to help him since Coda didn't want a glitch in the simulator and ruined the plans that their master had made. Even though they did nothing to help, they just watched this interaction in the other facility building. Once Coda took care of Anthony for good, Moon's soul gem was taken by an eyeball who we don't know the name of, and neither does Coda. If something happens to your soul gem, either is used against you or breaks, you die. Moon was very vulnerable and kept changing without their gem inside. Even giving away a life could kill that other person too because of the connection. Maxwin. They appeared right after Anthony died and explains they came back just to find Lucen's soul gem so they could bring him back. They watched Moon and Leo most of their free time, work with Jay in the experimentation, and hang around with Arwen. They never really sleep and call the golden piglet their friend. In reality, they use Maxwin as a toy, nothing more. In the current world, though, it seems that Leo warms up to them and becomes a mutual together. Tudlow. At first went by unknown since he didn't know his name or anything really. After a little bit though, he was able to interact and learn. More of an alliance than anything. He likes building and staying near Entity. Sneg, another undercover eyeball who stuck around for a bit, then went into an eyeball and stayed like that. They do love bugs though. Lost. After everyone defeated the Ender Dragon, they found Lost in a tree living there. They explained being stuck here for so many years. that they believed there was no way to leave. They were skeptical about leaving the end and were soon convinced though. In reality, they were only in the end for a day or two. It only felt like that though because the eyeball and Puppet Master made them think like that and got Lost to trust them in becoming friends. Their own personal puppet on their strings. Lost has strong opinions, especially getting confused saying Entity was their sister, which was correct, only in a different timeline though. An Entity tried to show Lost they're not the same entity that put Lost in the end. Of course, Lost never believed them. Became very protective over Tom, Panic, and Leo, even the Black Eyes. Later on in the story, Lost loses their memory and turns into a bunny hybrid who was born in the Aether. Sai, a lemur who stayed by Entity and Lost, which was more of an inventor, never around much. Panic is someone who mysteriously appears, saying they've been here before everyone even showed up, which is so confusing towards Leo. Panic goes up to Leo and is able to trust him enough to tell them the system about their lives, and Panic is on the last stage, which is set to one life, saying that this has happened before and they're not the only ones that have gone through this. They warn Leo to be more careful instead of careless in this world, knowing if people keep dying, nothing will change. You won't survive. Sooner or later, your time will come to a stop. Panic disappears, leaving their knowledge with Leo, everyone believing Panic is just gone for a bit, while Leo knows they are most likely dead. Leo somehow believes that Panic is similar to Coda, just only a little bit. I wonder why that is. Ghost. Wasn't around for long, but seemed like they had fun even if they didn't understand. They were a butterfly. Pip is a street girl who just loves animals and Cake Trio, aka Moon, Leo, and herself, just having fun. Sophie and Karlos. They arrived and lived together. Sophie interacted a bit and Karlos stayed away for their own space but still liked a few people. Sophie always had a frog with them, which is nice. Odd, Cnocan, Funny, and Hermes. Odd was a fox who couldn't speak at first but was really nice and warmed up to Leo quickly and became good friends, which Leo needed since his friends disappeared and he was distancing himself away. While Cnocan, Funny, and Hermes were all found before they entered the New World, they got along with Jay really well and caused mainly Emilie lots of pranks to go around. Those are all the characters. I couldn't even say much about since not everyone had lore at the time or showed me any footage of what they did, so I apologize if some of this is dry. Besides, I explained most of the main story in the other videos, so some lore didn't need to be mentioned. And of course, the episodes showed most of their lore too, so if you haven't seen any episodes, go watch them, or just go watch the ones that are unedited before they are edited, so it would be much better for you to understand. Thank you all for watching. I hope this helped you a bit. Go support the members in the past ones as well. Go follow the socials, get the merch, and if you're interested in joining for the second season, go apply. The link is in the comment section down below. Thank you all again. Bye!